everybody. I'm Melissa from Astrology, and I'm here to talk with you today about the astrology of March 23rd through March 29th. We have a couple Pluto aspects going on this week. We have a Mercury Cazimi as well as a sign change. So we have some things that we definitely want to pay attention to this week. Before we get into all of that, reminder to like and subscribe so that way you see all of our videos that come out and you don't miss the live meditations that we have Sunday nights on YouTube. Those are streamed live every Sunday night at 8:30 p.m. on both Facebook and YouTube. So we start out this week on Sunday, March 23rd, with the moon in the sign of Capricorn. It's going to make an opposition to Mars. That could be a little bit of a tense moment there, middle of the day into the evening, just to watch for. We also have an aspect going on this day. We have the sun making a sextile to Pluto. Sextiles are not always the loudest aspects, but they are cohesive. Maybe things that would have been a little bit more bumpy before are coming through a little less bumpy, or a little less with a little less turmoil than they would, a little less scratchiness coming through here. So this sextile is feels like it is reiterating the Venus-Pluto sextile that we had last week. So it's assistance coming from the underworld. It's bringing things to light. The sun illuminates, shines lights on things, brings light to a subject, and Pluto represents the underworld. It represents the darkness. It represents what is unseen or unspoken, or what is tucked away, what we don't reach into all of the time, into those shadows within the corner type of energy. So I'm wondering about visibility changes here as the sun is coming into this quick little sextile with Pluto. Wondering about information that was not seen before, little pieces of the puzzle that maybe we didn't have before, and those coming through. Wondering how, with all of this Pisces and Aries energy, how that is going to give you another little tidbit or another little nugget or piece of information that will help you as things are shifting, because we have lots of timelines and cycles that are shifting and converging kind of all at the same time, moving different moving parts, but all kind of moving in across similar paths and similar connections. So continuing that connection between Pisces and Aries here this week. That Capricorn moon is going to take us right into Monday. The moon will ingress into the sign of Aquarius about 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. So really a majority of the day is with an Aquarius moon, but it does start out in the sign of Capricorn. Once it moves into Aquarius, it will make a conjunction to Pluto, so that is just amplifying this Plutonian energy that we have coming through here this week. Really, that one might kind of be all of these Pluto moments this week could be very quick moving. The lunar aspects are no exception to that. They act as quick moving triggers, but this might be one that you really kind of see it, and maybe this one kind of really pops in a way, especially with the other Plutonian energy that we have coming through. So in addition to the moon stuff that we have going on Monday, we also have Mercury coming through its own Cazimi. So last week we had Venus coming into conjunction with the sun. This week we have Mercury come into conjunction with the sun at 4 degrees of Aries. Mercury is retrograde now, has been retrograde since last week, so there is still this revisiting period. When Mercury comes into its Cazimi moment, it's a shift, it's an empowering moment, and it's a phasal change. So we have our mental processes, the way we go about things, the way we think about things, the way we communicate with others. There is a moment of shifting coming through here. Mercury is making its process from going from evening star to morning star. So we have this, as it moves into the morning star phase, there is more of this new air, new energy, and this youthfulness of wanting to step into something fresh, stepping into something new, maybe a little bit more exciting because it feels new and because it feels youthful. Maybe there's a little bit more of an exuberant energy, where the evening star phase can be a little bit more serious, a little bit more experienced, a little bit more tailored by what it has already been through. Morning star Mercury wants to create something new. It wants to initiate, especially in the sign of Aries. it's going to want to initiate change because we're moving through that retrograde phase as well. So we have shifting energy coming through and a fresh start as Mercury comes through this Cazimi moment and this empowering moment just after Venus did last week. So that's what we have going on for Monday. That's going to bring us into Tuesday, March 25th. On Tuesday, the moon is going to be in the sign of Aquarius all day, and we have another Pluto aspect. After Mercury comes into contact with the sun at 4 degrees, the next day it moves down to 3 degrees, so really still sitting pretty close to the sun, but not quite in that empowering moment of the Cazimi moment. Mercury comes into a sextile with Pluto. So there is that reaching into the shadows here again. We have several Pluto aspects as these planets are moving through those very early degrees of Aries here. So here, as we are having maybe a deepening understanding of the cycle of the process in the previous weeks that we've been having kind of just recently went through, I'm wondering about how you are processing all of this and how you are sitting down with the details and maybe what you haven't quite spent time with as far as the unseen or the unspoken or the tucked away energy that we find with Pluto, that dark or shadowy type energy. What has accumulated and where can you see the shifts that are changing here as there's this revamp within the Aries and Pisces topics within your own lives and the houses that they fall into? The Mercury sextile Pluto feels like we've already kind of been stepping into that Plutonian energy with the previous aspects. We've just recently had Venus and the Sun go across the sextile to Pluto. So now I'm wondering about how we start to shift our mind. Maybe when Venus came through there, then we started to shift our desires and the things that we want to start to shift and change. Maybe there's a further illumination as the Sun comes into the sextile with Pluto. But maybe now as Mercury, the planet of our mind, thoughts, communications, perceptions, those type of things, wondering how we can really start to either shift our perspective based on what we have found within this underworld shadowy material, or how we can use that material that has popped up here and we can move forward with it with all of this different shifting that is going on. So how we can see these deeper details, find deeper meaning, and be able to shift and flow with it. Again, these sextiles are quick little energies. They may not be super poignant right at the beginning. You may not notice them the day of. You may just kind of notice afterwards, like, hey, that worked out really well. Or that thing that was a little bit difficult before or a little bit bumpy before, maybe now it's there's a little cohesion or there's a little less turmoil or bumpiness that comes along with it, kind of like I said with the Sun and Pluto coming through here. So that's what we have coming through on Tuesday. That Aquarius moon is going to take us right into Wednesday, March 26th. The moon will move into the sign of Pisces in the afternoon around 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. Other than that, we don't have any exact aspects going on Wednesday. So this is one of those days where we are just following the moon through the signs here. It is interesting to note that the moon is going to move into the sign of Pisces, so it's going to start making its way towards conjunctions with the planets that are in Pisces as well as the planets that are in Aries. So that might bring a little bit of amplification of all of this energy that we have been talking about recently, not just this week, but just within the last couple weeks that we've been talking about here. So keeping that in mind, even though there's no exact aspects that we have going on. And that Pisces moon is going to take us right into Thursday, March 27th. So that Pisces moon will make a square to Jupiter. We also have Venus moving back into the sign of Pisces through her retrograde motion on this day. As she makes her way back into Pisces, she's instantly going to make a conjunction with Neptune. So she's going to move right into that energy. As Venus moves into the sign of Pisces, the retrograde focus is going to shift from the Aries part of our chart back into the Pisces part of our chart before it will move back into Aries through direct motion again. So we're going to be moving from that fire sign to the water sign. So maybe if Venus in Aries retrograde has been very gung-ho about shifting, changing, individuating, changing, and going, kind of blazing its own path somehow, or seeing how it can care for itself, that's really that self-care thing really feels like it comes through here with Venus in the sign of Aries retrograding. Now we're shifting to the water sign. So we're shifting to more of an emotional reflective. So wondering now if we will start to slow down just a little bit, just to kind of contemplate on things, where Venus in Aries moves very quick. It's quick to start, it's quick to shift, it's quick to change and initiate. Pisces is a little bit slower. It's a Jupiterian sign. It's a water sign. It's flowy, and it shifts with as the energy shifts rather than initiating its own shifts. It's a mutable sign, so it's in between the change rather than being the cardinal fire sign of Aries that like is the change, is the shift. So wondering if there's going to be a little bit of a shift from being so loud to maybe being a little bit more passive, but in the way that just feels like it's more reflective. I don't think this means that Venus loses its flow. In fact, Venus in the sign of Pisces is within its exaltation. So Venus does really, really well within the sign of Pisces. So maybe if we have started initiating things and we have started blazing trails while Venus has been in the sign of Aries, maybe we can find that intuitive connection and we can be a little more receptive rather than the reactive energy that we had in the sign of Aries. Maybe we can find more contemplation versus action-driven. There's going to be more time for the action-driven energy. Venus is going to move direct through Aries, and then when she's direct, that is going to be the blazing the trail, and that is going to be the moving forward and no turning back energy. Here, we're still in this place of connecting both the Aries and the Pisces areas of our chart. And you know, as we are connecting, we've talked about this before a couple weeks ago, but as we are talking about connecting Pisces and Aries, we're connecting over the last sign of the zodiac and the first sign of the zodiac. We're connecting over that 0-degree Aries mark that our spring equinox happened at here just a short time ago. So there is this dark half of the year and there is this light half of the year focus that we really have coming through strong throughout the month of March. And being in a place of finishing and completing and reflecting on things, and being in a place of starting and initiating, blending those two together. So we see that blending even more as Venus moves back into the sign of Pisces. Maybe energy started out kind of quick and then it's slowing as it moves into the sign of Pisces here. So if it feels like you were moving forward very, very quickly and making really, really good progress, but now it feels like it slows, that doesn't mean that that drive and that motivation and that progress is not going to come back. It just means that we have a moment of examining. We have a moment of reflecting on what we've already accomplished. And really, when we've had so much Aries energy, I don't really see what's wrong with stopping in a moment to just take a breath and step back into that intuitive connective energy of Pisces for a little while before we move back forward into the sign of Aries. Like I mentioned, Venus moves right into the conjunction with Neptune. So there is that connection that comes with the sign of Pisces. It's amplified as Venus moves in there because she's going to come right into a conjunction with Neptune. Neptune is a planet that connects us deeply with things. Sometimes we have to disconnect in order to connect. So hopefully we are connecting to things that inspire us in a positive way rather than something that maybe won't be quite so positive later on. So hopefully we are more in the creative energy rather than the escapism energy that comes with the sign of Pisces. Maybe we can revisit some sort of lost creation. Neptune is very creative and very inspiring. Venus in the sign of Pisces can be very creative through that watery connective energy. So maybe if there was something where it felt like we're moving forward, we're going, but some sort of connection hasn't quite been there, or some sort of intimacy hasn't been there, maybe as Venus moves back across into the sign of Pisces, especially with jumping right into that conjunction with Neptune, maybe we will start to feel that connection coming back through to be able to find that passion again and being able to feel good and express ourselves again. This is, again, I say again because this is energy that we have already that we've already experienced through the direct motion, and we'll experience once more too once Venus moves back into direct motion again. So that's what we have coming through Thursday. That Pisces moon is going to take us right into Friday. And when we look on Friday, that is where Venus is going to start to make a conjunction, or sorry, that's where the moon is going to start to make a conjunction to all of the planets that are in the sign of Pisces. So starting early in the morning, the conjunction with Saturn, and then moving through all of the rest of the degrees of Pisces before moving into the sign of Aries in the afternoon around 3:30 p.m. Eastern time, where it will conjoin Mercury. So from Saturn through Mercury, the moon is going to make conjunctions. So that is what, 1, 2, 3, 4, there's like 5 conjunctions that we have going on here. So this may be, even though we don't have any exact aspects going on this day, this may be a very lunar pingy type day. So lunar aspects are triggers. They kind of like probe or initiate or poke at other energies that are there. So this is a day to just kind of be really mindful of what is going on throughout the day, and just keeping a level of awareness and mindfulness moving throughout the day. So that's Friday. And then that Aries moon is going to take us right into Saturday, March 29th, to finish out the week. Here, we're going to have Mercury move back into the sign of Pisces. So kind of like when Venus moved back into Pisces, we have that shift from that fast-moving mental sphere into kind of slowing things down, being a little more contemplative. All of those things we said about Venus moving back into the sign of Pisces feels applicable to Mercury moving into the sign of Pisces, because these two planets are retrograding and moving so close together. So there's, as our desires shifts, so does our mind just shortly afterwards. With both of these two planets kind of moving simultaneously, with Venus kind of leading the party between the two of them, it feels very much that way. It feels like there is a shift of desire, there is a shift of ambition or place to want to bring harmony, and then there's a shift of the mental sphere. There's a shift of the tools and the resources that are at hand that we can utilize to complete that shift. So these two are really working pretty close together, which it's kind of neat to see that. As Mercury moves into Pisces, we get that shift of mental focus from moving fast, moving quick, being very spontaneous, and wanting to just start and initiate, maybe not necessarily maybe not always having the follow through, but at least initiating and starting things. Now we slow down. Now we're a little more contemplative. Now we're able to stop and reflect on things before we act again. And just like Venus is going to move back into the sign of Aries and be ready to hit the gas pedal again, so will Mercury. So we will move back into that fiery Aries energy for both of these planets. And Mercury moves into that conjunction with Neptune, just as Venus does, moving into the sign of Pisces. So we may start to ask ourselves these existential questions as Mercury and Neptune come together. As we start to reflect on things through the sign of Pisces, we might be wondering if we are moving in the right direction, if the changes that we are initiating are exactly the way they're supposed to or whatnot. There could be a desire to connect deeply with something higher than yourself. So that can be connecting to whatever the higher energy is for you, God, universe, your ancestors, even connecting to your own higher self. If none of that works out for you and doesn't resonate well with you, then it's connecting with your own gut instincts and that knowing or that feeling within you that you are or are not exactly where you are supposed to be. There could be mental confusion or mental clarity. Neptune can be either way. Neptune can be the clearing of the smoke. It can also be the smoke coming in here. So depending on how it's landing and how it's playing out for you, there can either be connection or there could be fog coming through here this week. Not only do we have Mercury moving into the sign of Pisces and having that conjunction, but we also have a solar eclipse in the sign of Aries. So we have a new moon coming through this day as well. This is the last eclipse in the sign of Aries. We've been having them across the Aries and Libra axis for the last couple years now. So this is a final push to create. This is a final push to initiate. If there's something that you have been resisting through the eclipse cycle of Aries and Libra, then here it comes again. It might show back up. If there's things that you have been starting or initiating and creating, then this might be wrapping up the breaking out phase for whatever has been showing up for you. Whatever has been initiated under the passing eclipses may now start to move to its next phase. So it's not going to, I don't necessarily see this as what was initiated under Aries Libra is done, but that initial phase, since eclipse energies are like long-lasting solid changes that they usually show up a little bit louder than like the regular than the regular new moons and full moons, and they have more space to the story here. So it's not that that entire scenario is done, but the first phase of the initiating and the breaking through can be done. And then, like I said, if there's anything that you've been avoiding that has been showing up for you, you may start to see it pop up here again. So we have interesting things that are coming through this week. We have a new moon that's a solar eclipse. We have Mercury changing its sign, and we have Pluto aspects coming through here. The Pluto aspects, once more, can be very subtle, but they can be very, very powerful. Sometimes more powerful than you realize at first, and there can be deeper meaning that comes through that we didn't quite see before. And that deeper meaning can help us within the shifting of Mercury moving back into the sign of Pisces. It can help us with the new things that are initiating under the solar eclipse in the sign of Aries here. So we have some pretty dynamic energy coming across this week. And it'll be interesting to see how it plays out for each and every one of us here. So I hope that this video serves you well. I hope it allows you to prepare for this week, and it gives you a way to contemplate on the energies before they come through. If you want more contemplation, then join us Sunday nights for our live meditation. It's a live astrological meditation streamed to YouTube and Facebook at 8:30 p.m. So many ways to prepare for this upcoming week. So thank you for watching this video. I will see you back for next week, and I will also see you Sunday night for our live meditation. Have a great week, everybody.